We just found out that Conor McGregor is not going to fight this year, and yeah, I'm pretty pissed. But last night was the first episode of Dana White's Contender Series, a show that I look forward to for multiple reasons, right? Obviously, you get great fights, there's great storylines, great stars, you know, promoted out of that show. But one of my favorite parts is the fact that we get to see Dana White after the press conference address some things maybe he wouldn't normally address, whether it be a fight night or maybe just a last minute change, a pullout, number one contenders, etc. And usually the media will go in getting ready to ask him the hard-hitting questions, getting ready to ask the questions the fans want to know. So while he answered a few questions about Sean Strickland being next and all this and that, a reporter of course asked about Conor McGregor, and Conor McGregor obviously has not fought in a long time. He hasn't fought since he broke his leg back in 2021. Literally, Alex Pereira's debut is sooner than the last time Conor McGregor fought. Just put that through your head, guys. Stipe Miocic has more of a recent win than Conor McGregor. Like, just think of that. So obviously we haven't seen him, and I have been the guy that has been champion for this guy to come back. You guys have given up last year. You guys been giving up, and I gotta admit, you guys are starting to convince me that you guys are right here, because I get comments all the time calling me a McGregor fanboy because I've said, dude, he's going to fight, right? It has to happen at some point, right? I honestly don't know anymore, because Dana White gets asked about Conor McGregor and he reveals the most heartbreaking news I've heard all day.
You guys met at all and talked about the potential of his fight as well?
We talked, yeah. We talked. We didn't meet up, but we talked. And yeah, he wants to fight, so we'll figure it out.
Soon? By the end
Not
of this
year.
year?
He won't fight this year.
So Dana White reveals that, look, he talked to Conor McGregor recently about a potential return plan, and he is not coming back at the end of the year. Conor also came out about Dana White saying this, tweeting, Dana, December is the date. Bring the calendar year home with a winning event. Come on now, what's this? I'm off to altitude next month to prepare. This is obviously referring to the fact that he mentioned that he's going to Colorado to train in altitude just to have better cardio. Conor then says December. Tell Dana and UFC we want December and we deserve December. Now, if we go on his Twitter, obviously, look, you can see he doesn't really say anything else about this, just posting him on a boat. But look, he's been training. He's been posting him training, looking like he's been wanting to fight. I'm not really exactly sure what the problem here is. And first of all, let me just talk about it a little bit, right? Like, Conor McGregor not coming back. It's weird. Like, this is getting to a point where there has to be something going on. Maybe it's something where Conor's re-injuring himself. Maybe the leg isn't 100% yet. Something has to be going on, because this is just not making sense. Conor is a guy that likes to fight, guys. Like, I don't know, man. I'm starting to think I don't even know anymore. Anything is possible. But Conor strikes me as a guy that's looking to fight, that's looking to be active. And he's always complained about that. Like, if you look at the history, it isn't crazy to say that the UFC is kind of like putting Conor McGregor away. They did it back in 2020. McGregor was getting super upset. It's all documented on his documentary, McGregor Forever, and even arguably confirmed from Dana White, because he leaked text from Dana White in order to pressure the UFC to get a fight. Like, this is all documented. This has happened before. The UFC just don't want him to fight. However, I think we've reached a point of that just being crazy at this point, because look, this fight was supposed to happen September last year, then December last year, then UFC 300, then it was supposed to happen in June, then it was supposed to happen in December, and now who fucking knows when this is gonna happen. I just want to address three things. Number one, is Conor McGregor even gonna fight Michael Chandler or anyone again? Well, let's answer the last half. Will he fight anybody again? I think so. I don't think Conor McGregor is going to retire unless there really is something super serious going behind the scenes where he's re-injuring his leg or something of that nature. I think we're probably going to see Conor McGregor at some point. Now, does he fight Michael Chandler? I mean, Chandler's been waiting now for 2 years. I mean, we have a date in Utah that's open. You know, obviously the end of the year seems to be relatively open. There is a spot for Michael Chandler to hop on a card, maybe fight another guy, maybe rematch someone in the lightweight division, maybe go to 170 and have a warm-up fight. Like, if I'm Chandler, I'd be asking for Nick Diaz. Fuck it. Like, honestly, like, Nick Diaz was supposed to fight Vicente Luque in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, that fight didn't wind up going through, and honestly, Nick Diaz versus Michael Chandler, that's not a bad fight, right? If we're gonna be honest, because Nick Diaz didn't look so good in his last fight. Chandler hasn't exactly looked the best either. And while I'm not trying to sit here and say that Nick Diaz would definitely beat Michael Chandler or something like that, I definitely think it would be an interesting matchup, and it's a good warm-up fight to get to 170 and be used to that weight, have a full training camp, and actually compete. And that's a big fight that maybe Michael Chandler will say, hey, you know what, I actually don't mind that fight, and then I'll fight Conor. Now, second thing I want to address, when is Conor coming back? If he ever does, of course. Well, my thing is, maybe it is January, right? Maybe it's just another month, because historically Conor has fought in the month of January. In 2020 he did, 2021 he did, and the UFC would want to get as much ad revenue as possible. Now, I'm not really sure what's going on in January, to be honest. I don't follow many other sports, but January does seem like a month that is rather dead. Not a lot of stuff is going on. Maybe they feel marketplace wise it's not good to have him in December, the month of Christmas where everybody's buying gifts, and maybe some people can't afford a pay-per-view. Maybe they think, hey, let's give it a month, let's let it breathe and give Conor the space. Maybe they have him fight in February. It could be something little like that. Last thing I want to address is, do they move on from Michael Michael Chandler? Should he just fight somebody else? It's getting to the point, and I had said this when they said that McGregor was going to do the Ultimate Fighter. I said, look, they better make this fight fast because this is a name that is going to get stale. Because Chandler isn't the guy that's going to trash talk, right? He isn't a guy trying to build up a fight. And he also isn't a guy that's like a big top 5 name in the division, right? Like, he isn't known for being super good. He is entertaining, but he isn't like a name that he's like one of the greatest lightweights of all time or something like that. Like, if Conor goes out there and beats Chandler, I'm not sure how much he really gains from that. It's already a 50-50 fight as is in a lot of people's minds. So if Conor goes out there and beats him, I think it really also depends on how he beats him. But I could also see a scenario where people are like, hey, we knew this was going to happen. You took how many years and this is what you come out with? And I talked about this in a video last week, but another thing is Conor McGregor, he has 2 fights left on his UFC contract, right? So he's going to fight Chandler. And what if he doesn't want to fight in the UFC anymore? What does the UFC do? Well, the UFC are going to hold him for a long time. Look how they already holded him already. Look what they did to Nate Diaz, right? Nate Diaz is a guy that wanted to get out of his UFC contract. They made him wait a whole year and tried to force him to fight Hamza Chimaev, a matchup that made no sense, a matchup that they just wanted Nate Diaz to be beaten in. Like, we could seriously see in the future at some point Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Conor McGregor. We know that if a fighter declines a fight or pulls out of a fight, that will extend their contract. So with Conor McGregor delaying himself, maybe there's a clause in the contract that they could wait a year before they offer him a fight. Maybe next International Fight Week, and I would not be surprised at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know your prediction for UFC 305, and check out my last video where I talked about Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, breaking down the history of their beef, as well as my other video talking about that Utah card coming up, UFC 307, and that, horrendous looking main event so far. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.